everyone.
I like this. We are obviously here for the 6-week transformation today. Welcome, everybody. Round of applause for you guys. Want to spend a little extra time with us here on a Saturday, because why not?
Yeah.
Now, I was actually telling Nick just earlier, this is the first time that we've done the 6-week transformation nutrition seminar about 2 weeks before the challenge. And we did that for a couple reasons this year. The first glaring reason is Melissa gets married next week. So things are getting a little bit hectic in that regard.
Sorry, everyone.
The second reason is we wanted appropriate time to plan. We wanted to do a little bit of buffer room. Laura, come on in. There's plenty. We got a bench here, and then we got a bench right in the middle over here too. Come on in. But the second one is that we wanted a little bit more time to plan and really kind of develop like a really solid strategy for this particular challenge. Now, in addition to that, another thing that we are going to be doing is just to update you on some new things going on. We've got weekly Zoom calls that we're going to be doing from nutrition during the course of this transformation challenge. I think that the weekly Zoom support is going to be huge. Although we've always done nutritional sessions, primarily Melissa, we've always done those in the past. This one, I think, is going to be an incredibly different dynamic because we're going to do actual like mini presentation topics weekly. So 7:30 every Thursday, hop on Zoom with us, and we're going to talk about everything from our little presentation that we're going to do all the way up to everybody's personal struggles. So it's going to provide, most importantly, in my opinion, like some group nutritional talk, which in a lot of ways is some of the most beneficial because all of us have like a very common goal here. And, that's, feeling better, feeling healthier, improving body comp and all the above. So I think that those are going to be really awesome. And with that said, it is going to provide for a little bit more of an intimate setting like this. In years past, we've had very, very large ones of these. And I love when we have a little group like this because we can really kind of dive into some of the details a little bit more. So without further, guys, officially welcome to the Rebel 6-Week Transformation Challenge with an emphasis on reducing inflammation through the body, and we're going to tell you how we're going to do that today. So you're all here for a reason. You're ready to change. This is the first slide on every single presentation that we dish out. It's the thing that is going to bind us together for this challenge, amongst many other things. In addition to that, we're also going to, and guys, communication is going to be pretty consistent throughout this. So, for example, the Zoom calls, you'll be hooked up with those links 17 times. I'm going to send them your way every single week. So you don't have to worry about any of that. But guys, for this particular challenge, we're really sewing into the team dynamic here. We've split up into 2 teams for this challenge. You're going to be all assigned a team, and we're going to be competing mildly on a week-to-week basis with the other team. I say mildly because it can be as lighthearted as you'd like, and it can also be pretty dynamic. The other thing is, this is the first year that Melissa and I are on the same team together. We don't know how that's going to go. We're going to find out. It's pretty split evenly. When she was a little younger, I would crush her and everything. And recently, I'm coming off of a pretty big loss, so I can't really talk too much crap right now. But we will have a team dynamic in this year's challenge, and we'll explain to you guys exactly how we're going to bake that in. It's going to be very fun. Cool. So, the biggest thing here, you have to do the work. And with this one, in that packet, I believe it's in the first packet, we have the signed document that we've got to sign and return. Yep. So at the very back there's a list of things that we're really committing to, that we're really looking to sign our name over to. We want you for this 6 weeks. Not just this 6 weeks, but we are dialing up for this 6 weeks. We're pledging for this 6 weeks. We want to make sure that we are as committed as we possibly can to whatever process that we're going to be dishing out here. And that's sign and date that. We got your name on it, okay? Yep. Liz? So we're going to talk a little bit about what losing fat, losing weight looks like, because I think a lot of people have the expectation that you're going to go into something, you're going to start to eat a little bit healthier, workout, and it's all just going to drop right off, right? And people get very frustrated when that doesn't happen. So this is really what the scale of losing fat looks like. There's a lot of up and downs going on here, but you see there's a downward trend at the end of the day. And I think it's important to remember where you started versus where you're at now, and kind of remembering, wow, I am on a downwards trend, but even if you're not where you're at, like where you want to be right now, that you're getting there little by little, and even little increases, decreases, they are all part of the process. Nobody's body just drops in fat and keeps dropping in fat.
And in the 6WT, we're trying to get one of those drops, right? So we're really trying to lock it in for 6 weeks, and we want one of those downward trends and kind of keeping those habits and mindset to continue to get some downward trends into the future of your journey. So how are we going to do this year? Sticking to the basics is key. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of information thrown at us every day when it comes to health and nutrition. It can get very confusing. Even to me and Derek as trainers, we get thrown information all day, every day on Instagram, on Facebook, XYZ, do this diet, do that diet. It's going to help you drop 20 pounds of fat in 10 days. You know, you see all sorts of stuff on the internet, and it's really, really hard to kind of delineate what's good and what's not, right? But sticking to the basics is always going to work. It is scientifically proven. This is the stuff that works. The basics are structured weight training and cardio program. We've made one specifically for the 6WT for you guys that is meant to increase muscle mass, lose body fat, kind of increase the intensity a little bit more than usual. Getting your steps in, this is something that is so underrated and is probably one of the lowest barrier ways to keep your weight under control and be healthy overall. Most Americans, I don't know if you know the percentage, Derek, but most Americans don't get their daily steps in. I don't know if there is a statistic. It's bad.
No, it's trended down obviously since the pandemic.
Yes, it has trended down. And I'm sure you always hear 10,000, 10,000. Of course, that's always going to be the goal. If you need any help with that, let me and Derek know. We have some tips and tricks. If you are somebody especially who sits at a desk all day, if you need help with getting your step count up, we can do that for you and kind of help figure out a plan for that. Healthy nutrition, what does that mean? We preach this all day, every day. Eat enough protein, drink enough water, eating less calories than you're burning on a daily basis. And if you need help with the explanation of that, me and Derek can do that as well. But we are adding another layer of nutrition other than the basics to kind of help you guys out even more. And we are about to break that down.
The anti-inflammatory diet is one that we incorporated this past year with Melissa's ab challenge for the summer. We did a couple little micro challenges that some of you guys may have participated in. The ab challenge was super successful, and she really had a ton of success from the dietary perspective on that one. And we kind of went into some territory that we hadn't gone in previously. So we decided to apply it to a little bit more of a macro scale for this 6-week transformation challenge. And we think we're absolutely going to see even more dramatic results. The anti-inflammatory diet that we would like to incorporate is as followed. Okay, number one thing, honestly, is we are going to be eating at a calorie deficit, as Melissa just spoke about. We want to limit dairy. Okay, that's number one. I'm going to review these first, okay, and then I want to dive in a little bit more to the sheet there. We're going to limit gluten. We're going to eat more whole foods, eat more lean meats, and eat less processed food. Now, a lot of this stuff is not insane if you really think about it. The eating of less processed foods is something that we can always argue that it's going to be a little bit more beneficial, a little bit more healthy for you. But the limiting of dairy and gluten is one that might be a little bit unfamiliar. Now, if you guys flip over...
We're going to deep dive into those.
Derek.
Yeah.
I'm going to read these so you guys don't have to find them, but it is in the sheet. Now, in terms of diving in a little bit more, reducing chronic inflammation obviously lowers the risk of most diseases, or many diseases, rather. And with that, we're also looking to promote heart health here, right? And when we focus on healthy fats and anti-inflammatory foods, we can also help our blood pressure and our cholesterol. Raise your hand if you can use a little blood pressure help. I know I can. Okay. So with that said, we're also looking to ideally see like a little bit of an improvement in joint stiffness, right? If we're ideally inflaming the system a little bit less, then we should have a little bit more of a friendly joint feeling as well. We're also, why not here, looking to boost our immune system a little bit with this kind of diet. Inherently, you're going to be eating more antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. It's only going to help your immune system, especially in these coming cold months. Sorry, I see a lot of jackets. It's already fall. It's here. Sorry. Summer's over. Improving gut health is probably the number one thing that we're going to see here. We're going to start to ideally improve gut health with this kind of way of eating. And with that said, you might experience things from, less, bowel distress, more consistent movements, things like that. That's just a typical thing that we see when we start to eat like this a little bit more. And finally, better mental health. I might really have to dive into that. I could use some more mental health. But when we're eliminating some of those processed foods, when we're eliminating certain types of dairy, you know, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more because we both love dairy,
Yeah.
but we do a pretty good job of coming up with a little plan to limit it. You'll start to feel significantly better in that regard.
Yeah, and just before we even get into this, I know this might seem overwhelming to you, but it's really just going back to simple whole foods. That's really the basic of this. And this whole thing, you might be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get rid of all these things and change my diet and X, Y, Z? But as we go through this, we'll kind of ease your nerves about this a little bit and show you that it's not as hard as you may think to do this. The first one, limiting dairy. Why limit dairy? It isn't inherently bad for humans. We are not labeling dairy as bad, right? But it can promote inflammation in some people due to sensitivity in the proteins in dairy. Again, there are probably some people in this room that are like, I have no problem with dairy. I can crush dairy all day and I feel great, right? That's totally fine. But a lot of the dairy products that are out there tend to have high added sugar content and can cause hormonal issues from added hormones within dairy products. So it's all about knowing what products to use
What would you
versus
guys do
not.
if Ryan just jumped out of the closet right now, like totally like tied up and like no, can't. That'd be such a good bit.
That would be. We should have done that.
Like
we
we
should
go
have
through this
planned
entire
that,
thing. He's just been hiding back there.
Yeah, that
with
would be
the dairy
good.
slide.
That would be solid.
Yeah.
Right.
We've
All
done.
right.
We've done
So-
weirder. It is a horse, right? It's a horse disguised as a cow.
It is.
Sorry.
How to limit dairy? Just make swaps here and there. It is nothing crazy here. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like I said, for example, I literally just drank a dairy yogurt drink. I am somebody who actively tries to limit my dairy, but I still do have dairy products, and it is totally fine to have some. But this is what I did. I switched my milk in my protein shakes to making a protein smoothie with almond milk instead. I switched milk in my overnight oats to almond milk, and that alone helped me feel so much better, right? I had a period of time where like I was feeling kind of weird, bloated all the time. I was getting like, I wasn't breaking out, but my face had pimples all the time. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what is going on with my diet right now? Like, because I always look at the diet first. And I'm like sitting there and I'm going through and I'm like, wow, I'm eating a lot of dairy right now. Like I have dairy in a lot of the stuff that I'm eating. Let me try to cut it down. And I felt so much better after. So that's just me. And again, I still put dairy in my coffee and still eat yogurt and put cheese in some of my meals, right? So I'm not completely getting rid of it, but just making swaps here and there. I do have it in the packet, some of my favorite non-dairy swaps, like an almond milk and an oat milk. I just put it in the Facebook group the other day, actually. If you're not in that, let us know and we can put you in. We put a lot of nutritional content in our Facebook group, but there's a brand called Malk that just came out with a coffee creamer that's delicious. And usually I am so anti-almond milk in my coffee because I just hate the way it tastes, but it's actually really delicious. It has no additives in it, really low sugar content, and it's really good. So if you need that, just let me know.
Just crush black coffee with me.
I can't do it. I've tried. I can't do it.
Would love another member of the club. We meet.
Looks like you're alone.
We meet on Tuesdays and we talk about how cool we are for not putting anything in our coffee.
I feel like it's like.
You ever notice that
People
when
have
people are like,
pride
"Oh, I
when
drink
they
my
don't-
coffee
yeah.
black," like, "Oh, you're supposed to." They
Yeah.
want a reaction like, "Oh, wow, really? That's amazing."
That's so true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Alan's one of those people.
Like, yeah, I drink my coffee black. What about you?
He's one of those people.
Yeah.
My
I
slide. Anyway, limiting gluten. Okay. Again, like dairy, gluten is not inherently bad, but it can cause bloating and water retention, which can make it more difficult to lose weight. It's also heavily processed. Most products that have high amounts of gluten tend to be very processed and calorie dense. I can really talk about this for the next 15 minutes. I can put my tinfoil hat on, and we'd all, I probably need to get you guys some liquor for that one. But, I believe that, gluten in this country and kind of the processed foods in this country are definitely a little bit different than, and that's not very tinfoil hat. But like, if you go and have, a primarily pasta-based diet here versus if you go to have it in Italy, you'll lose weight in Italy. And you'll have more, less dietary distress. You have people that go have I call them American gluten allergies, and they go to other countries and automatically they're gone. It's pretty crazy.
So crazy.
And sad. But in any case, what can we do? We can limit gluten here, right? So with that said, our next rule will help you out with this one tremendously. Eat more whole foods. My God, you're going to hear that
A million times.
forever. Whole foods are minimally processed and not processed at all. They're generally better for our health. With this particular program, we want to eat more fruits. We want to eat more vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds, healthy fats, legumes. one
I
of my
love
favorite
that word.
words. Yeah.
I love that word too.
Legumes. But in any case, this is nothing magical. Like, you look at this slide and you're like, oh, eat more of this. Eat less Chips Ahoy. That makes a lot of sense. But with a challenge like this, we're all doing it together. You have something absolutely magical with challenges like this, and that's that community support and the accountability. So when we are all coming together for a common cause, this becomes a lot more realistic and a lot more doable.
We say this all the time. We've said it in previous presentations that we've done, but shopping the outside of the food store is usually a really good bet. We say it all the time. Food stores market to us so that we try to go for all of the unhealthy stuff. The Malamar wall is back. I don't know if anybody knew.
I haven't seen that.
But if you walk into ShopRite, the first thing you see is this glorious wall of like 500 boxes of Malamars.
seen
How
it
do you
yet.
not want to grab one, right? But again, they put it right in front of your face. You walk into ShopRite. What's to your right? The bakery, right? It's the first thing you walk through when you go into ShopRite. And then once you go to the outside, fruits, vegetables, dairy products, cold stuff, all of that, right? So you want to majority shop in those aisles and then get your meats, right? And just go into the aisles for stuff like oats, brown rice, kind of the healthy carb sources.
You guys ever? Can I segue into that a little bit more?
Go for it.
We've done this in the past with
Yeah,
this, but
go for it.
I know some people. This might be your first presentation with us for 6WT, but if you take like show of hands, I mean most people have been to the shop right over here in Caldwell. They're building that new one. That's gonna be crazy. I wonder if it'll be the same way. But to get to the thing that everybody needs, like you've got like the meats, the fish, the eggs, stuff like that. It's all in the very back of the shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to go through everything to go get to it, right? That's by design. That's by design. It's not an accident, Right away, you're shopping hungry, right? They know that you're going to be, a lot of people shop hungry. You don't do it. You're coming in and you see all these baked goods, and you're hit with that incredible smell. And you're like, oh well, now I'm going to get these pumpkin muffins. Didn't need that. And then obviously you make your way through, and you've got some of the basics and whatnot. But all the stuff that the perishables that you need are all in the very back of the store. So you got to make your way all the way there, and then you come back, and then at the counter, what's that? It's the candy, the last thing you see every time, right? So they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But now you guys know what you're doing.
Now you know what you're doing too.
Eat more lean meats. Lean meats have a lower fat content than other meats. That goes without saying, I think. Beef and other red meats are okay in moderation, but opt for low-fat contents when possible. So lean meats include like a chicken, turkey, or a pork, or a lean ground beef, venison, bison, veal. Meats are, in particular, we've probably not seen options like we have currently ever. You see as high as 93 to 95% lean meats. You've got a lot of different options there. Some of them do tend to be a little bit more expensive depending on where you are shopping. But that being said, it's worth it because I think that it's kind of an instant feedback when you're cooking with like a little bit more of a fatty meat versus a leaner meat. You can literally see and drain the fat out of it, very, very closely, like you can see immediately. So when making anything, keep these options in mind. We like chicken and turkey a lot for the fact that they are a little bit more lean. Bison is incredibly lean. That might be a little bit more lean than even like a chicken or a turkey. But you have a lot of options here. Just looking a little bit more lean here.
Yep. Eat less processed foods. Again, processed foods contain ingredients that are inflammatory and can increase risk of all diseases. Plain and simple, they're bad for us, so try to stay away from the following, which is a really sad list because obviously we all have things that we love on this list. But I don't have to read through the whole thing. I think it's pretty self-explanatory what is processed versus what's not. Chips, French fries, fast food burgers, white bread, muffins, all that good stuff. Processed meats, like sausage and pepperoni and all that good stuff. So we want to try to stay away from this as much as possible and opt for the whole foods that Derek talked about before.
This is a huge list, but I want to fly through this real quick list.
Yeah, do it.
Candy bars, cookies, donuts, pastries, packaged cakes, all sweets that we love. Guys, we have a lot of different options within that recipe book that can very easily switch out all of those things and still satisfy that sweet tooth. A lot of the time we're looking at these and like, oh my God, I really love this. Like I look at this and I'll be honest with you, I get hungry. So when I look at this, there are all sorts of different subs that she has outlined in these books. Hot dogs, bacon, sausages, deli meats, pepperoni, frozen pizzas, frozen dinners, instant noodles, all things that can be very easily subbed for just a little bit of prep time and a little bit of cooking with a leaner alternative, which probably is going to feel better It's going to make you feel better. It's going to fill you up quicker, and you're going to be full for longer. Microwave meals, mac and cheese, lasagna. Honestly, microwave meals freak me out a little bit. They
Yeah,
don't
they
really
freak me
ever
out
kind of
too.
sit well, and it always feels like you ate a microwave meal. If you find one that is actually like, not like super watery or like freaky from the flash frozen thing, let me know. Sodas, sweetened iced teas, energy drinks, flavored milks, French fries. I am energy drink free for quite a while now. Oh my God, I still have a lot of coffee in my body. How you doing, Melinda? But we're working on that. French fries, chicken nuggets, onion rings, fast food burgers. Guys, I had an In-N-Out burger last week. It was absolutely amazing, but I felt horrible the next day. I don't want to tell you what happened at the airport, but it was traumatic. Guys, we want to make sure that we're limiting things like that. White bread, packaged muffins, store-bought tortillas, bagels, all things that we can very easily sub as well. Check out our book. Potato chips. I love these. We have a rule in my household. Potato chips are not allowed because I have zero filter if potato chips are in my house. They will be eaten unapologetically.
Yep.
And
Same.
there will be zero thought of stopping. And as a result, we don't buy them. But there are alternatives there too. If you look at a potato chip and what it is, it's a salt craving, right? You just got to make sure that you get your salt craving in an elsewhere place. Pretzels, crackers, popcorn, same kind of thing. It's that salt craving. You guys can have different options there.
Yeah, and if you're somebody that you're like, listen, I really don't think I can give up these things. I'm really struggling with this. There are healthier options out there, healthier brands. Like I know you love Skinny Pop for people, like as a popcorn.
Skinny Pop has saved a lot of people.
Like Skinny Pop is
Yeah.
a great one. There's a brand called Siete that's a Mexican brand that makes healthier salsas, chips, and their chips have like 4 ingredients in them. They're like the cleanest chips I've ever seen in my life. Are they going to be great? Can you still sit there and eat an entire bag if you really want to? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the quality of the ingredients is much better than, Tostitos or those other types of brands.
If you look at this list, oily skin, inconsistent bowels. Like that's what
Yeah.
you're gonna get out of it. You're gonna have it and it's gonna be great in the
Bloating,
short
that's
term.
another
But
one.
bloating, inconsistent bowels, oily skin, big
Yeah.
list there.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, now you might be saying to yourself, wow, I eat a lot of the stuff I'm supposed to stay away from. So what the heck do I eat? That's where our recipe book comes into play. I've put together a few different recipes. Within that book, they're separated into breakfast ideas, lunch, dinner ideas, and sweet snacks, because I know a lot of people have a sweet tooth. And you'd be surprised how good some of this stuff is. Also, I don't know about my pumpkin people in the room who like pumpkin flavored things, but I've been making a pumpkin overnight oats that literally tastes like dessert and has all clean stuff in it. So if you want that, let me know because it's delicious.
Yeah, and there's also, with that said, if you want to reduce some things down a little bit here, you can as well. I think that Melissa does a really great job of putting some, I love your seasonal recipes too.
Yeah, I love doing
We have
those.
a couple of these coming out for the next season, winter,
I
stuff
did a
like
Christmas
that.
one last
We
year.
have one that we'll be
Yeah.
releasing again for the holidays and whatnot. But that said, you can also go minimal here. If you don't want to add a ton of different ingredients, or if you don't like a few, it's very easy to sub them out as well. So you can reduce or sub super easy with a lot of these recipes.
Yeah, and there's a recipe in there that I found. It's a cherry mocha smoothie, and I've been making that.
I
It's
wanna make
freaking
that.
delicious. It's
Yeah.
so good. And I've been drinking that as my post-workout shake, and it's really sweet because it's got dark cherries in it, so you get that sweet from the cherry.
What do you call for that? Do you do almond milk for that one?
I do almond milk in it. You could
I
do
would
whatever you
chocolate
want.
almond milk. That's what I was.
Yeah,
just
you can
thinking.
do that too. And there's cacao powder in it, espresso powder in it. It's so good. It's so good.
We had a kid yell at us the other day for saying cacao powder because he was frustrated
like,
that
"What
we
is
didn't
that?"
we didn't just say chocolate powder.
He was like, "What is that?"
He was frustrated that we didn't do that. But that being said, this is basically the outline of the anti-inflammatory principles that we want to incorporate here. Now, going forward, we're going to be doing our weekly Zoom calls, and I just decided I am going to kick one off early. I'm going to do a
that's fine.
Zoom call because I want to do at least one more Zoom call before the challenge. We're going to start this coming Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So you guys will all get that information to get on the Zoom call for that, and we'll dive into macros. If that, for example, does not work for anybody, I will record that Zoom call and I will send it out via email as well. But we're going to dive into specific macros that we're looking to hit for this challenge as well. I think that'll be super beneficial. Yes.
Derek, are you going to be recording any of those calls?
All of them are going to be recorded. Yes.
Okay.
Everything that we're going to do is this included is going to be recorded and sent out.
Just a quick tip here too. If you're looking at some of these recipes and you're like, man, not crazy about it, whatever. We all have our phones that have so much information on them and have so many recipes. I do that all the time to find new recipes when I'm feeling stuck and I don't really know where to go next. Also, something that just came to my mind, there is a diet out there. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. It's called the Whole30 diet. It's a literal all whole foods diet. And they have a lot of really great recipes out there. So if you look up Whole30 recipes, you'll find a lot of recipes that only use whole foods. So if you're feeling stuck, you can always research that. And if you're like, is this recipe good? You can always send it over to me and Derek and we'll be like, oh, this is good or this isn't, right? Because there is a lot of different information out there. Questions, concerns, anything? Yes, Melinda.
What are we working for? Is it just bragging rights or?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
6-week transformation, overall winner gets $500 cash. Okay, so yes. So there's that. In terms of the team dynamic, if you participated, which I think you did in the last one, where we're going teams, we're doing 2 teams head to head this time. So you got one side versus the other side. We will have within that individual challenges and team challenges as well. So we're going to have the team tracker on the board. We have a point system that we've developed for it. So you are going to not only be working on this as well, but you're going to be working toward a little bit more fun in the gym in terms of weekly challenges and the ability to get points for your team. We will do Challenger of the Week last time and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions?
We are doing first place and second place and third place for the transformation. We normally
Yes.
do that for those transforming for the first time. We do a first, second, and third place.
Yes.
Cool.
What are the parameters for the winners?
So we have a combination of, we take relative body weight lost, relative body fat lost, relative muscle gain. So for example, if you have a situation where we've had this in past, I don't think most immediately, but we had, somebody, if you lose 5 pounds during the challenge, but you end up losing 7 pounds of body fat and you gain 2 pounds of muscle during the challenge. Those are all favorable metrics because you went down in body weight, you went down in body fat, and you went up in muscle mass. So those are all things that'll positively impact you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much how we measure it. And we use our in-body scanners. I don't know if you guys have gotten the invitation to sign up for your scans yet. You probably will in the coming week. That's all going to be going out via email as well, but you're going to have the option of basically saying, hey, you're going to get the email, hey, Melinda, pick a time for your scan. You're going to go to it. You're going to book it through that, and we'll be ready for you. So it'll be a little bit more organized.
Okay, I have questions. I have 2.
Cool.
One is, if anybody creates a grocery list, I would love to have it. And 2 is, have they changed, and is there a difference in the quality of brown rice? Because my brown rice now looks like white rice.
Yeah.
Is there-
So I think it depends on 2 factors there. The stripping process of the grain from the brown rice to the white rice. Has that process changed? I'd imagine that there's, depending on brand, different processes that they go through there. But in terms of like some sort of blanketed like legislation, even I don't know if there have been some different restrictions or anything like that.
This is a better one than that one.
That being said, the nutritional quality, fight me at any point here. The nutritional quality of a white rice to a brown rice is not crazy different, or not nearly as different as you would think it is.
Yeah. The only difference there, white rice metabolizes a little bit faster than brown rice. Brown rice is a little bit higher in fiber, so it'll be in your system a little bit longer. But I think that's a big thing that people like to preach about. They're like, stay away from white rice. It's the devil. It's terrible for you, right? But it's really not crazy different than brown.
Quicker.
Just a little quicker in the system, that's all.
Which that being said, isn't ideal for like, fat loss.
Yeah.
Because if you are eating something that gets metabolized a little bit quicker, in theory, you'll be a little bit hungrier quicker.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really the difference. But I do agree with you there.
Yes.
So to add on to what Lisa said, is it true that if you make white rice and cool it in the refrigerator and then heat it up, it has less of an impact on the glycemic?
That I'm actually unsure of. I'm not really sure. Derek, do you know anything about that?
True, I don't
Yeah.
daughter yells at me because it's the biggest carrier of bacteria
It's what?
the biggest carrier of bacteria to reheat your rice. And the same
Yeah,
rice,
I've
which is
heard
something
that too.
always
I
do.
reheat my rice all the time.
Yeah.
I do.
Mold, not only bacteria,
Okay,
but mold.
stop.
You're like, you're ruining rice for me right now.
Have to pass on unwanted information.
I always do prefer like I do prefer a fresh thing of rice. It's very quick to make at this point in time. You know, it's if you wanna roll with a little bit of a fresher rice, feels pretty good.
But I can look
I
into
get
that
it.
a little bit
Yeah.
more. Personally, I don't know.
Curious.
I'm unsure how accurate that is, but I can do some research into it and let you know what I find.
Cool. Anybody else? Nothing. Anybody got any jokes?